As Arven trained, he felt the anger twist and shape him into something more. It became not just about vengeance, but about reclaiming what he lost, proving that he would rise from the shadows and forge his own destiny. The world had abandoned him once, but it would not do so again. He would make his name known. Edric Dane would remember him. Arven threw himself into his training with renowned fervour, each session with Sir Cailan becoming a battleground of sweat and determination. Every swing of his sword, every footfall in the training yard was fueled by the fierce need to prove himself. Not just to himself, but to Edric. He felt the fire of anger and determination coursing through his veins, shaping him into something stronger. The council convened by Lord Eddard Stark ended. Tensions among the noble houses were still high, but amidst the political games, Arven found himself searching for a moment of clarity. He knew he had to confront Edric again, not just to prove his worth, but to find out if there was any shred of kinship left to salvage. One afternoon after a lengthy training session, Cailan approached him. "You've improved greatly, Arven, but remember, strength alone won't win a battle. You need to prepare your mind as well." "I know, Cailan," Arven replied, wiping sweat from his face. "But I must face Edric again. I can't keep pretending I don't exist in his world." "Then go," Cailan urged. "But don't go alone, I'm coming with you. You may need backup." That evening, as they made their way to House Dane's quarters, the streets of King's Landing buzzed with excitement. The air was filled with laughter and chatter, but all Arven felt was the pressure of uncertainty pressing down on him. Would Edric listen this time? Would he even care? When they reached the lavish estate, Arven's heart raced. He spotted Edric in the courtyard, surrounded by his fellow knights. They were laughing, the camaraderie palpable. Arven's resolve wavered for a moment, but Cailan placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Remember, you're not alone in this," Cailan said softly. Gathering his courage, Arven stepped forward, calling out, "Edric!" Edric turned, confusion on his face as he scanned the crowd. When his gaze landed on Arven, his expression hardened. "What do you want?" he asked, irritation once again evident in his voice. "I'm here to talk," Arven said, stepping closer. "And I brought someone who can back me up." He gestured to Cailan, who stood tall and steady beside him. Edric's knights exchanged glances, some smirking while others looked wary. "You think you need a knight to speak to me?" Edric scoffed, posturing aggressively. "What more is there to say?" "I'm not here to fight," Arven said, his voice steady. "I just want to understand why you refuse to acknowledge me. I'm your brother." Edric raised an eyebrow, disbelief dripping from his words. "My father never mentioned you." "Because he was afraid," Arven shot back, frustration creeping into his voice. "He made a mistake and I'm here to prove that I'm worth knowing." Cailan stepped forward, sensing the tension escalating. "Edric, this isn't just about you. Arven has fought his whole life to find his place. Don't dismiss him so easily." Edric's eyes narrowed, and he took a step closer to Cailan. "You're a knight, but that doesn't mean you can speak on my family's behalf. You don't know what it's like to carry that burden." "Neither do you if you're willing to turn your back on your own blood," Cailan replied, his voice firm. "Arven deserves a chance, just like anyone else in your family." One of Edric's knights, a burly man with a scowl, stepped forward. "What's this? A low-born smith's brat thinking he can claim the name Dane? You don't belong here." Arven clenched his fists, feeling the anger rise within him. "You don't know anything about me." Edric's gaze flickered between his knight and Arven, a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. "You think shouting will change anything? You think you can just demand acceptance?" "I'm not demanding anything," Arven replied, his frustration boiling over. "I'm offering you a chance to know me, to understand that we could be stronger together." Before Edric could respond, his knight charged forward, fists raised, ready to escalate the confrontation. "You'll regret this, boy." Cailan swiftly moved to intercept him, his reflexes honed from years of experience. "Stand down or I'll show you the difference between a knight and a thug." The knight didn't listen, throwing a punch aimed at Arven. Cailan sidestepped the blow effortlessly, countering with a swift jab that sent the knight sprawling to the ground. The courtyard erupted into chaos as the other knights drew their weapons, their laughter replaced by shouts of alarm. "Stop this," Edric shouted, but it was too late. Cailan stood poised, his sword drawn and ready. Arven watched in awe as Cailan faced the oncoming knights with unmatched skill. He moved like a whirlwind, dodging blows and incapacitating attackers with precision. "You really think we'd back down?" he taunted, disarming one knight with a solid blow. Arven felt the adrenaline surge within him as he joined Cailan, facing down Edric's knights with a fierceness he didn't know he possessed. Each knight that came at them was met with swift retribution. Kaelin's strikes a blend of elegance and brutality. But amidst the clash of steel and shouts, Edric's anger boiled over. "Enough," he roared, pushing through the chaos. "You think this makes you my brother? You're nothing but a mistake. Get away from my family or I'll make you regret it." Arven felt his heart sink as Edric's words hit him like a physical blow. "I'm not leaving, Edric." Edric's expression drowned in fury. "You think you could just demand a place at my side? You're an embarrassment. You're not worthy of the Dane name." He turned to his knight, his voice cutting and cruel. "Get rid of him." The command shattered any hope Arven had left. With a surge of anger, he pushed forward, ready to fight for his place, but the force of Edric's rejection slammed into him. "You don't even know me," Arven shouted, desperation in his voice. "I don't want to know you," Edric snapped back, his tone venomous. "You are nothing to me, you never were, and you never will be." The finality in Edric's words were like a dagger to Arven's heart, igniting a flame of resentment that burned deep within him. The fight erupted into chaos, Kaelin defending Arven against Edric's knights with skill and determination. "Stand aside or you'll regret crossing me," Kaelin growled, incapacitating another knight with a fierce strike. As Arven watched the clash unfold, a dark realization settled in. He would not be accepted. He would have to fight for everything, including his identity. But beneath the pain of rejection, a resolve began to form. With every swing of Kaelin's sword and every knight that fell, Arven felt his anger solidify into something powerful. The fight would not just be for acceptance, but for vengeance against the brother who had cast him aside. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the last knight lay defeated, Arven looked at Edric with a cold, hard glare. "I'll find my place, Edric, and one day, you'll regret the choice you made." With that, Arven turned away, his heart heavy with resentment but burning with a newfound purpose. He would rise above this rejection, forging his own path with the strength of his training and the fury of his past. The fight for his identity had just begun, and he wouldn't stop until he claimed what was rightfully his. A few months had passed since that tumultuous confrontation, and the streets of King's Landing were both familiar and foreign to Arven. He had spent those months honing his skills, training rigorously with Sir Kaelin and working tirelessly in Roderick's forge. Under Roderick's watchful eye, he had transformed from a boy filled with uncertainty into a formidable swordsman and a respected craftsman. The forge had become a second home, the rhythmic clang of hammer on steel, a comforting backdrop to his life. Roderick had taught him not just the art of smithing, but the value of hard work and resilience. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city, Arven, dripping in sweat, admired the fine sword he had just completed. The blade shimmered, reflecting his determination and skill. He could almost feel the weight of it in his hands, the strength and precision that came with every strike of the hammer. "Another masterpiece, lad," Roderick said, pride evident in his voice as he inspected the weapon. "You've outdone yourself again." "Thank you, Roderick," Arven replied, a grin spreading across his face. "I couldn't have done it without your guidance." More time passed. The sun set over King's Landing, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets. Arven stood at the edge of the city, the memories of the confrontation still resonating in his mind. The bitter taste of Edric's rejection lingered. His desire for acceptance had transformed into a fierce resolve, not just to reclaim his heritage, but to build a name for himself that would command respect. Beside him, Sir Kaelin adjusted the straps of his armour, his expression one of quiet understanding. "You've done all you can here, Arven," he said, his voice steady. "But this isn't just about King's Landing anymore, is it?" "No," Arven replied, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "It's about proving that I am a Dane, and that I can stand on my own 2 feet. I want to gather loyal men around me, build my own reputation, and gain the resources to stake my claim on Starfall." Kaelin nodded, respect glimmering in his eyes. "It's wise to think beyond bloodlines. You'll need more than just your name. You'll need loyalty and coin. Allies will help you navigate the treacherous waters ahead." "I have you," Arven said, a fierce determination hardening his voice. "And I'll find others. I have lingered in the shadows for too long. Now is the time to rise and claim my place in the light to show the realm my true potential." The journey to Starfall would not be easy. It lay in the distant reach, beyond the arid sands and sprawling plains, a place steeped in the legacy of House Dane. Memories of the past haunted him, the knowledge of being cast aside, the anger that fueled his training. Now, it transformed into something sharper, a weapon of its own. As they walked through the city gates, Kaelin spoke again. "You know that confronting Edric will only be the first of many trials." He won't welcome you with open arms. His pride runs deep. I don't expect him to, Arven replied, his jaw set. But I will show him that I am not a mistake. I am his brother, and I belong to House Dane. I'll carve out my own path and build a group of men who stand beside me. Kaelin placed a hand on his shoulder, a grounding presence amid the storm of emotions. Just remember, loyalty is earned. You'll need to show them you're worthy of their support. And don't forget the value of patience. Every strong house was built over time. Arven nodded, appreciating Kaelin's wisdom. I won't lose myself, but I refuse to be an afterthought in my own story. I'll fight for Starfall, for the legacy that's mine by right. As they made their way down the winding roads leading away from King's Landing, the weight of their journey hung heavy in the air. Arven could already envision the grand halls of Starfall, the banners of House Dane flying high, and the taste of victory on his lips. He would reclaim his seat in his house.